This is one of those talks that isn't sure how to start itself. But these strange words come up and seem appropriate, although I had other things I thought might come to the table. I don't know if you've noticed, my poor little finger got messed up. And something fell on it. But I will bring that up. It's been in a splint for almost a week and a half, and I took it off to teach, but it just goes back into position. But the syndrome, I believe, is called locked in syndrome. Some people call it frozen. And there's probably a lot of other names, but I bring it up because my experience in working with many people with this energy work is that I find this symptom pervasive, not in finger terms, but in inner spiritual terms in many people. There are those of you who I've worked with for decades, some less. And I often find myself going back to the same thing week after week after week after week, year after year, decade after decade, that there is a kind of locked in, frozen aspect that somehow evades people. Of course, it's hard to see oneself. It's hard for us to know ourselves. That's always been a kind of cosmic issue. But the fact that we are frozen inside and not able to see our own condition and not able to change our position is frustrating. One of the key ideas of a spiritual practice is that you are in concert with something much greater that wants to, let's say, melt or fix the situation. Bring back balance, bring back a harmonic element in your life, bring back openness, fluidity, all of the things that make you feel like you're alive. Cinta, you have to stop. Thank you. All of the elements in people that don't hear the message, that don't get it, that keep coming to the table over and over and eating the wrong food, if you will. It's a very frustrating thing for the teacher. And I can really feel Rudy, working with all of his students and trying to break down this sort of structural thing that is absolutely inhibiting the flow of people's lives. And one of the things I feel very much in the teaching experience is that I really find a directive from something higher. It's kind of like a puzzle finder. It figures out puzzles. And it looks at every person I'm working with, and it comes through and it finds a realignment, if you will, a movement, a possibility of fixing a problem or of solving a puzzle. And it never stops in this class, for my experience. It never stops. I never cease working with a person until it goes, oh, okay. The ta-ta-ta-ta moment where it's there. And then the next week, or sometimes the next day, depending upon my relationship, it's all back again. It all reforms itself. It comes back exactly as it was, as if it never got fixed, as if it never got realigned, as if the person trying to find their way into a deeper place found that the 1 hour of practice was enough, done, okay, go back. It's a lack of consciousness. It's a lack of effort. It's a lack of sort of commitment to the real depth of what this practice is about, which is freeing yourself of being locked in, becoming really open, becoming really available to the universe, and finding what I have discovered is an enormous alignment with something that tells you how to be in your life. And if you just listen to it, if you just take the directive, if you just pay attention, it changes everything for you. It opens life for you. It gives you incredible directive and assistance and assurance. And it's so poetically beautiful. It helps you know how to paint the painting, write the poem, know when you're finished. It's just there. It's an extraordinary kind of guidance system for everybody. But to use it 1 hour a week, no, it just won't do it. It's like going to the gym one day a week for 20 minutes, half an hour, or whatever, and thinking you're going to change the system. It doesn't work that way. It would be great if we could all transform ourselves by a half hour of a workout. But you show me one person where that happens. I haven't met them. Coming and sitting in this class is a really exquisitely beautiful thing to do for a lot of reasons, one of which you can be benefited, but two, the rain, if you will, from the higher dimensions that wants to nurture and help the universe flourish pours through because you're sitting and drawing this into yourself, and then you're able to come to share it with the world around you. It's a beautiful process. Something greater than our understanding, than our mind can grasp, comes through. It allows us an exquisite amount of connectivity to something beyond understanding, something completely mysterious that gets the puzzle of us and tries to make us in its own image, if you will, to shape us into something that really becomes a conduit of this greater, mysterious, and exquisitely beautiful source. It's there. It is absolutely there for us. And it is there for everyone around us. And what I keep finding in people around me, and I can talk about myself as well, but let me share this with you guys. I see a kind of rigidity, smugness, self-satisfaction, resistance, all of these factors that separate you from the wonder of what is trying to work on you. You are too hesitant. You are too casual. You are too inconsistent in your effort. And if you stay inconsistent in your effort, it can't work. And even though you come and sit at this table and there's something that happens thanks to 50 years of meditation and years of working with Rudy and connecting to some, I don't know, whatever it is, it decided to flow into the world through this particular channel. I take zero credit for it. I am the last person in the world to be able to talk like this or share anything with you. It's not my gift, really, other than the fact that it opened me up and it said, we're going to use you. And it does that. And it will do the same to every one of you. And the real joy of it, the real magic of it, is you get to taste the wonder of it on a daily basis, which is unbelievably extraordinary. But even more remarkable than that is it really allows you to help the world. It helped others, to help those around you, to find a way to make the world work. That's really, really important. And those of us who are so absorbed, self-absorbed, and locked in, frozen in our whatever this is, it makes it hard. We're not available. We're not doing enough of the work, if you will. And I have said this pretty regularly. Rudy comes to me all the time and says, do the work. And my own body, which is decaying and falling apart, and my mind and all of that, it basically says, do the work. Because the option of not doing the work for me is untenable. I don't want to live that life. I don't want to live an unconscious, suffering, stupid life in which I am a puzzle to myself, in which I am locked up, in which I cannot find a freedom of movement and possibility in the world that I really need to have as a human being. And let me throw that word out even more, human being, because so many of us are walking around as spiritual beings, but we're not touching our human being. Human beings are fragile. We are incomplete. We are impermanent on every level. And if you think your spiritual life is going to give you transcendence over that, in a way, you're missing the point. It's going to make you human. Your spiritual life makes you complete. You are truly of the world. You are truly breathing this space. You are inhabiting and imbibing this amazing thing of life. And if you are trying to get out of life, and I get the idea that you might want to try to do that, but it's not the mix I think that's looked for. Rudy always said to me, spiritual life starts with making your bed in the morning. Most people I know don't want to hear that. I don't want to have to make my bed in the morning. I want to be spiritual. I want to meditate in the morning. No. I mean, you can, but making your bed in the morning, living a material life with grace, with ease, with directive, with accepting of the greater power of what every minute in life is about, that's kind of what you want. And then there are times like the one we're living in, which is really challenging. And I can't tell you the number of people I'm speaking to who are struggling. And I mean major struggling. And you can say it's a universal thing. It's part of the worldwide drama that's occurring. You can say it's just personal and their own internal thing, but it's all together. And one of the things I really am aware of as a teacher is how the outer and the inner are one thing. We are one force. And I've said this, any number of times. If it's in front of you, as Rudy would say, it's yours. I've added to that, it's God, or it's, if you will, holy, whatever, however you want to look at the description. If it's in front of you, it's a sacred moment. And I don't mean you choose the moment to be sacred. I mean every moment of your life is sacred. And if you are living a life where you go, well, once a week on Sunday mornings, it'll be sacred. Or if you sit for 20 minutes in the morning and you go, well, this is sacred. Yeah, it is. But so is every other minute, every other minute. And if you are not aware of the sacredness of that, you are missing something extraordinary. And if you are getting locked in, if somehow your system is locking in to a frozen path, that it's very painful. And I am, when I sit with you, very informed, if you will, about your frozen situation. And I am told, do this, do that. Every week, it's a kind of a how can I say, a melting that takes place. And then I watch something opening, and I never stop with anybody until that opening is there. And then I sit with them a week or 2 weeks later, and it's completely frozen again, pretty much in the same position. I don't sit and worry about that. I don't go, what did I do wrong? Or, oh, isn't this terrible? There's no judgment. There's no judgment other than feeling that it's possible to live a life of attunement and a life of blessedness, if you will, and to fail to have that, even when there's so many forces working to help you have that, is really, it's hard. The universe doesn't seem to care on some level. It just goes, okay, do it again, try another, get in a different way, work it out. And it's a little bit like puzzles, it really has that kind of quality. It's like, I'm not a puzzle person, but there are people who that's their joy. Figure it out, figure out the word that belongs in the New York Times thing. That isn't a thing for me, but when I sit with each of you, that's kind of what it's like. There's a puzzle. And then I am given the solution, kind of, through various, it really literally tells me, it says, if put your hands in certain positions, this is the mudra work, and send this energy. And a lot of the times it's just through the eyes. The hand mudra work is of the last 5 or 6 years, but it's really powerful. And it allows me to know when that note has been struck. And when that note is struck, it's really exquisite. Last night I went to a symphony and heard Beethoven's Fifth. I've heard it so many times, but not always live. And, it's like a class upon classes upon classes. The third movement is like every note is like, It just opens you and opens you and opens you and opens you and opens you. And it's like you can just tell what God is like through that third movement. I mean, it's like, how do you hear that? How do you translate that into the world? How do you make it so that all these musicians can train for decades to be able to play those notes and then combine them all together in symphonic form and then make that music that lasts for, well, the third movement, maybe 15, 20 minutes, but it just brings that presence into your life. Not to compare myself to Beethoven, but that energy, not maybe on that scale, but that energy absolutely is part of this class. It is working for each person. It brings energy to every one of you. And you can either exult in it, or you can go, okay, I sat my 20 minutes, or I listened to Bruce again for the millionth time, or whatever the thing is. But all it's trying to do every single time is present you with this amazing gift of who you are. Who you are. I have a guest here, Joseph Tornick, who's an incredibly good poet, really wonderful. He's visiting with Cinta, his wife, and they're a beautiful couple, artists on every level. But Joseph was talking about his poetry this morning, and he writes this almost Rumi-esque poetry, beautiful, spiritual. And he said this morning, one day he hopes to meet the author of those poems. And I loved that line. I love that line because the author of those poems and the author of us is the person we are waiting to meet. We are an embodiment of it. We are a manifestation of it, but we are not the creator of it. We are that which is created. We have been created, and temporarily. When I play with my photographs, which is my favorite form of creation at this point, some of them I go, ugh, and I toss them out. They don't have the right stuff. Some of them I just keep playing with because I know there's a way to find the right form of that photograph, the right coloration, the darker side, the lighter side, the texture, the greater contrast. I know if I keep playing with it, there will be a moment where, like my grandson says, done. And I think the universe is playing with us, trying to find the moment that we're done. Done meaning complete and whole. Does it mean final, like the end of your life? Maybe. Does it mean this very moment? Maybe. We are in constant formation. We are always being created. Moment to moment, we are being created. And many of us are in locked in syndrome. Toss that one, toss that one, toss that one. But we're still here. We're still here. We're locked in, but we're here. And we live this life of anger and annoyance and feeling these congestions in ourselves and our fears and all of that human stuff, which in a way, from a poetic sensibility, is kind of strangely beautiful because it's all part of the human condition. But as a human being living in it, not so fun. And if you want to make it fun, stupid word, but if you want to make it beautiful, livable, gentle, opening, nurturing, all of those things, you have to really get out of the locked in mode. Take a breath, walk around. I do my walk every day, and I do my squats, and I do all these things, and they're very repetitive, and they're part of my my spiritual unfolding every day. And you can't let it go because it is not something you did once and it's finished. It's just not like that. And if you aren't evolving, if you aren't becoming bigger, more expansive, more available, and they'll let you know, trust me, the universe lets you know when you are of service. And if you are not of service to them, it's like, nope. Your call, guys. Because everybody either presents themselves and says, yes, use me, or they go, maybe I'm not, we'll think about it. And then there are those of you who just completely go, yes. And then it's that great dictum, thy will be done. Thy will be done. Thy will be done is the core of our existence. And making your bed in the morning is the very first manifestation of thy will be done, not your will, thy will. It wants your bed made. Why does it want your bed made? But I can only tell you, when I do my walk around the house, if something is out of order, I put it in order. It makes something align. It makes something feel good. You can do this all day long, and it makes you feel good over and over and over. You put things in place. And then there are days, and I've been having them, and I've expressed this to you guys over the last months or so, where the weight of your awareness of the world is really unpleasant. It really gets to you, gets to me. Some of you may be less vulnerable, but I am unbelievably vulnerable to the cosmos, if you will, and the world and world events. And as much as I've tried to cut the news out of my life, it comes in, and the global warming is God knows in the atmosphere. My kids are using AI every day, and my grandchildren even. So I'm aware of all that stuff, and something in me is pained and locked in by some of that pain. And Rudy comes every time, no news here, and he says, do the work. And I use the same thing that I do on you, on myself. And I open all of the chakras, and I just go, ah, and it frees me. It frees me to be myself again. And then I have people like Joseph who comes to visit, and he has a whole different worldview, but it's a worldview really filled with his own decades worth of spiritual practice. And it challenges mine in a way, because he's about detachment, and I am more about attachment, about experiencing it and working with it rather than not. I don't know that one is better than the other, but the challenge is interesting. The possibility of looking at it through a new lens. But my understanding is detachment ain't the path for a lot of people, because they don't know how to do it, and they haven't gotten there. But the reality is we are there. We are in this thing that's going on, this cauldron of activity, moment to moment, day to day. And if you don't take a breath and really ask inside for help to surrender, and surrender, you can work out what that word means, but I've been playing with it for half a century. It's a big word. Surrender to the dynamic of a world in whatever it's in. What is this world in? It's kind of what it's always been in, except that most of us have had a good ride so far and haven't been kind of as impacted by the massive forces that are unleashed in planetary terms. We have been living very gentle, simple lives with all this locked in stupidity. No, the world now is going to challenge us. What is it? The line is, these are the times that try men's souls. Yes, that's what they are. Those are times that are not rare on the planet. They are common on the planet. What is rare is the life we've all had. We've all had this amazing life in a relatively gentle time, in a relatively observant, wonderful, open space, like the United States of America or whatever. Lots of the other world still deals with the drama and the trauma of human existence. We've had a good ride. Now we're getting touched by a lot of what's always been part of the human reality. And now we have to really do the work. Open up. Get unstuck. Not unstuck just for you, because the universe doesn't care if you're stuck, but unstuck for the flow that wants to manifest everywhere. This flow wants to be in the present space of the world, and it will use anyone at all who opens up and becomes available. So it's on you. It's really on you. And, I'll give this same kind of talk probably week after week until there's just nobody left, because I get the repetitiveness of it all, and I get like, oh my God, here he goes again. I really do get that, and I am, as always, week by week, willing to go, okay, done. You guys got it. But until that actually takes place, all I can do is give the message, give the teaching as it flows through, hoping it will flow for you. I'm going to go one other note, only because this was the note I was supposed to start with in my brain, and it's called hero. Be a hero. I I don't really know what it means to be a hero. If there's one person in the world who's less, in a way, heroic, it would be me. I don't have a hero's nature, I don't think. But during times where things are really tricky, and the urge to run from the fearsome and the difficult and the struggle and to go elsewhere is, to me, a capitulation to something that I'm very drawn by, but I need to keep correcting. And the word that corrects it for me is be a hero. Show up as a hero. Be present. Face the drama. Face the thing that's going on. Be part of it. Don't run. Don't hide. My instinct is endlessly, move to Canada. You've heard that from me before. But I have to find, and I keep working at this, to find the thing that goes, trust doing the right thing, trust showing up, trust being strong, trust being the person you would like to be. Try that. See how that works. Truly, that was going to be my whole talk today, how to be a hero. It's going to be the end of my talk today. But I want you to know that if you can find the core of heroism in yourself, even for moments where you feel anything but, even in moments where you feel like, how do I handle all of what life is offering? All I can say is the heroic is a good idea. Find the part of you that can do that, which can go, I will be done, open to something greater, and serve it no matter what is in front of you, no matter what is in your face. Be the right person, do the right thing, be a hero, be a good person, and let your life come to a point where when you leave it, you are the hero of your life. Done. Okay. Questions? Yeah, those aren't the kind of talks that the open questions. If you guys have questions anytime, call me, write me, ask whatever you want. Uh, uh,
Bruce,
yes.
um, for me, it's not like you always say, oh, it's boring, again, the same thing. For me, it's believing that I can, you know. It's not a question, it's just an observance. And I guess I believe that if I'm sitting here, that I do can, if I'm sitting in life.
Well, yes, there's truth to that, and love in a loving way and beautiful way. You've been sitting for a long time, and you've been hearing the message for a long time. There's a deeper level of work that you and everyone around you uh, can do. It's don't walk around feeling good about showing up and listening. Show up every minute. Show up all the time. Be available all the time. It's really it's hard. I mean, there's nobody here who doesn't have good intention. There's nobody here who doesn't, in a way, try on some level. But you want results. You want a flow, openness, connectivity, and something that touches you inside and goes, yeah, that's kind of what you want. I think you have that in moments, but I think it's really got to be more. You have a real capacity to serve and help, but there's a lot of mental stuff that gets locked in over and over and over and over. And I've been working with that locked in stuff in your brain for a very long time. And, today you showed up late in class, so I didn't get to work with you. So, but I know the experience of trying to turn that mental stuff around. I'm not being judgmental because I love you very much, but I'm very aware that there is a kind of if I just come in the door and eat the hors d'oeuvres, then I'm at the party. Not really true. It's more than that. Eat the meal, eat the whole meal, digest it, feel the whole thing, and then do it every day. It's really, really important. But again, I mean, I love you and I care about you, but if you're going to take this really seriously, and the universe kind of needs you to take it seriously, you're dealing with major forces, the Ukrainian situation, everything else. This is not, you're not like a passive player. So you need to bring an open heart regularly to the table over and over, day by day. So I really wish you best with that, and I will help you in every way I can in terms of providing love and guidance and energy. But you have to do it, not me. Okay. A number of people have been talking to me recently, and I'm not a therapist, but I am starting to play the role of one a little bit. I don't. I just, if you ask me, or the universe tells me, I'm going to start telling you stuff directly, and it may be helpful. You may not want to hear it. But on the other hand, this is a this is not a time of gentle sweetness. It's a time of direct dialogue, and you guys have got to get this thing working for yourselves so that everybody around you can benefit. Otherwise, you're going to succumb to some very difficult sort of energies that you don't need to succumb to and you don't want to succumb to, and that you have the power not to. You can be the opposite. You can be the voice of kindness and goodness in a world that may have less and less of that available. Anybody else?
Bruce, I have a question.
Okay. I don't know who that was, but go for it. Yeah, Zach. Okay.
Okay. So I'm actually at a point where I feel like I'm beginning to let go of stuff that I've held on to for like a long time, and it had that kind of frozen quality. And I've been letting go, and it's been moving, and I've been letting go, it's been moving. But I'm feeling that there's still like a hesitancy to just drop the whole thing. I'm still kind of going piece by piece. I would like some help on how to approach that.
Well, I can tell you, you are doing exactly what you're talking about. And real foundational, fundamental stuff in you is shifting. So trying to speed it up is not necessarily the right approach. Continuing on this path is the right approach. But what you're doing is working. I see it working in you. The parts that have been congested and frozen really are now melting and opening. And I'm very thrilled to be able to access parts of your being and psyche that were not available before. And it's a real gift. So all I can tell you is there's nothing to change. Just work, keep working. Rudy might say work harder. I don't know, what work harder means, but it just means stay at it, because you have the potential to be an enormous conduit of this energy. And as long as it doesn't have to go through that tight little space that it's been congested in before, it was just going to flow right through. And you will be a walking gift. You just will be that, And now with the work that you're doing, the body work, you can have a direct hands-on approach to making one person after another freer of their discomforts, if you want to call it that, but it's more than that. You can really go way beyond the body. You can really go into the psyche, and you can release things in people and free things in people. And you don't have to do multitudes. There's never about multitudes. It's about what's in front of you. You're doing it right, so don't get caught up in it.
Thank you.
Bruce?
Yes.
Dale?
Dale? Yeah.
How do I sit still when I'm doing the work? Or even being here with you? There's when I let the breath come up the back of my spine, everything jerks.
Yeah, no, me too. Yeah,
everything just jerks.
It hits something. Usually what it is, a flow of energy hitting a smaller pocket, and it kind of hits like that, and it just opens up. And this is a channel up in the neck going up into the head that for most people is somewhat congested. We have there's a real problem in Western culture of leaning like this, for reading, for looking at your phone, for all that stuff, and we get blocked here. And so the energy kind of has to push through that, and it does, and then it goes to the top of your head, and it will explode into larger consciousness, or it'll flow through your skull and just drip down as a deeper awareness, or it just overflows and goes through the chakras and really wakes you up. But it is part of the class. Movement of that kind does happen. So allow it. Don't judge it. It's good. You're doing
sitting with you. I have to restrain myself because
don't.
My hands want to move.
That's okay.
And my body jerks.
Right. I get that. And I don't want you doing signal back movement work, because that's going to complicate issues. And
I won't do that.
Be receptive and let the body react. That's all I can say. React, be receptive, and act. As for movement of your hands, every one of you has the potential to feel what it means when your hands move. And I've described it. If you put your hands together with your thumb and forefinger touching, and then you feel the experience when you separate them and how much reconnection there is, how much, even though they're not touching, there's a sense of touch, and it opens and opens and opens. That's a mudra idea. That's feeling energy that doesn't exist materially between the thumb and the finger. It begins to go all over the place. Your whole body starts to feel these amazing energies that are not physically tangible, but they exist and they are part of us. And if we learn to get out of the way, they know where to go. They know how to fill time and space, and they are divinely guided often, mostly, I think, and they serve. They just serve. These subtle energies are really beautiful. So I would not worry about that.
Thank you.
Somebody else? Anybody else? I think you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, it's Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
It's wonderful to see you. Right now, we talked about drama and trauma in the larger sphere, and I feel more of that than I've ever felt in my lifetime. And I know that the fundamental step is all the things that you've been referring to, but it feels like there's so much to be done to prevent, this looming disaster that many of us are feeling. And I frankly don't know where to start. And
Well, let me cut you off because neither do I. Okay, I don't have an answer. I think Joseph's idea of detachment is kind of interesting. Not watching the news, I mean, I used to work at NBC News when I was a kid, and they create drama. They need you to stay from one commercial to the next. So they highlight the drama of the world. I mean, it's not like the world doesn't have it, but they incite it. And so if you're watching that and staying attuned to that in that way, you are going to be a victim of that dynamic. You set yourself up for it, partly because part of you enjoys it, to be honest. A part of all of us is like more alive when we're feeling all that stuff, but it's also shutting us down in many ways and creating fear and drama. And I don't watch the news anymore, but I am a victim of my own. All I have to see is a headline. All I have to see is one image in the New York Times of a child that was hurt somewhere, and my empathetic space just gets co-opted by sadness and grief. It's really powerful. And I have to then walk inside and go open up to something greater. It just means you have to work harder, get less involved in what the world is doing. It's a really complicated time, but if it takes over your system, you got a problem. So I would say, breathe and work, and try to disconnect. You can only do so much. Part of what you can do, I mean, I do this, I'm told to do it, send love into the world. Literally open your heart and let it go. It's really unbelievable. I mean, most people don't know what I'm talking about, but you can really love existence, love humanity, love anyone, anywhere that you can send love to. It enters the atmosphere. It enters the environment. You can do that. You can love the people around you. You can love anybody at the supermarket. You can give and give and give. And the beneficiary of that giveness is both the person who gets it and that person who gives the flow, who's available to the flow. So you can serve yourself in that way. But if you get totally corroded and shut down and really frozen in this fear zone, you're going to be useful to nobody, including yourself. And it will be punishing. And it does happen to most people. We are driven by drama. I've written all these movies that are drama. People say, give me drama. We love drama, but does drama help us? No. I mean, it can teach us if we learn the lesson of moving through drama into uplifting energy and resolution. That helps. But if you're going to be stuck in drama for the rest of your life, it doesn't help anybody. And most people are stuck in drama. So what you need to do is take a breath and release, detach, ask for help to surrender, move through the day, do it if you have to do it 400 times a day, and you may have to do it like that. But it's better that than getting brought back into this knotted zone that can get so knotted that nobody easily can get in there and open it for you. I will tell you that this practice can open it, but as I said at the beginning of my talk, it opens it, and then the next time I see somebody, it's right back where it was. So it's like, you know, I mean, I could get frustrated by that I'm doing the same unknotting of somebody for years and years or decades, you know, why? But the higher voices in me, if you will, they don't care if they have to do it a billion times. They don't care. They just do it. It's kind of like a universal love. It will work on you over and over. But if you aren't participating and you aren't sustaining it, it's not going to help you. At least you're trying, you know. But you gotta show up. Got to show up, and you got to do it. And if you don't show up and you don't do it, then you're just going to become another like rock sitting on the planet, you know, waiting for the planet to, I don't know, whatever it's going to do, blow up back into your molecular self, you know. But anyway, do the work.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is that it? Anybody else?
Bruce, really quickly, Phil.
Yeah, Phil?
When I say my frozen self didn't want to hear any part of your talk at all in any way, and is in complete resistance to it, while at the same time, hearing the profound truth of it was awesome, and I really appreciate that. And I know, you know, the saying, the devil's in the details, it's God is in the details. You know, you reminded me that every moment is sacred, whether I let somebody walk in front of me, hold a door, I'm kind on the freeway and let someone cut me off. You know, there's so many ways to, in small ways.
It's exactly that, Phil.
I really appreciate the talk.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, I've known you a long time. You know, I've seen real movement, real movement over the whole course of your life. So it's one of the, you know, I have such gratitude for all of that. I mean, I see a few places that I think are stuck, and believe me,
every few. That's kind.
It's not a lot. It's not a lot.
Kind.
Every class, I know exactly where to go. I know the part of your brain. It's really brain stuff. I know exactly where to go. I don't. Bruce doesn't, but it knows, and it goes there, and it just starts shifting these little things that have a certain kind of how do you describe it? Self-smugness. I'll call it. There's certain areas of smugness that are actually problematic, and they get in your way, and they're part of your personality, so they're not easy to shift. But they want to be shifted. They will not make you less of a person. It will be the opposite. It will be even more than you already are, and you're already wonderful. But this is just something that is there. It's working. It's right in here, and it just absolutely wants to shift so that you don't feel quite so. I mean, confidence is a very strange thing, and people have a lot of it, and they think it's a good thing. It's a lock in. You know, it's a lock in. Trust me, it's a lot that can break that apart. Real confidence, in my mind, is having no confidence, no control, just knowing you're in touch with the very source of confidence itself, which is not limited on any level to the human dimension. It's like, yeah, it's right there. And it will always be there if you're not locking it out with your own smugness. So be careful. Okay. Is there anybody else?
Bruce, I have a question.
Yeah.
What is the internal voice, you know, sound like when you're asking for help, when you go into that heart space?
Your whole ego self is it? It's personal. It's limited. It's like a little dog barking. Help me, please, help me. Whatever the sound of your voice is, that's really what it is, Dusty. You really have to use the voice you got, and you've got to find the most serious version of it. And you will probably start to realize how insincere and how shallow it really is when you start asking. That's really what happens. It's like, please help me. Please, I really need help. I really need it right now. You know, you tell me who's going to respond to that. You go to your best friend and say, you know, I really need help. I'm really having a hard time. And they're going to go, well, it's that kind of discussion, talking to the universe, which you have a direct line to, and saying, please help me. I really, really need help here. it will go, okay, what do you need? And then you get this exchange, and it will come through you, and it's really powerful. I mean, it's really powerful. And then it waits to see if you do what you're told to do. And if you do, it will continue a dialogue. If you don't, you'll have to work harder. It dismisses a lot of people. It really does. It goes, I'm not going there again. You know, they're going to have to come at me at a whole different level of need. So I see that. I see that in people. You know, their level of need is so absurd or so badly expressed that the universe does not really automatically want to help them. But the fact in this class they're sitting in front of me, there's a dynamic that has to be met. So you have to find a voice that really is sincere, and whatever that takes. Okay. Anybody else? There was another hand.
Yeah, Bruce, it's Terrell.
Terrell.
Yeah. When we were building the stupa, John Mann taught a class, and at the end of the class, he challenged us to maintain that state of awareness for as long as we could. And I was very new to the work, and I managed to sustain my consciousness for most of the rest of the day. By dinner, I'd forgotten, and I sat down and looked at John and went, oh my God, I forgot. But over the decades, that has been a real inspiration to me. And it's something that I strive to do. And, you know, being human, I forget. But I notice that more and more I'm experiencing that throughout the day. And
let me just talk quickly about the I that wants to do that, the I that sustains it. Here's the problem in that equation. The I that's sustaining it or getting to do it is going to be eradicated. You are not the doer. The fact that you want to have it and you want to own it and you want to be in charge of it and you want to be the one who is sustaining the energy, that's totally contradictory to the depth of real spiritual opening. Letting go and being the energy, letting it flow, getting out of the way, getting quiet, getting simple, getting available to a larger flow is not you doing anything, it's you doing nothing and letting it happen. And you just have to ask for help and surrender. That's all you have to do. Holding it is a way of locking yourself into a form that cannot exist for very long. It's going to be broken apart and torn down. And when it is, and it's going to start happening sooner than later, Terrell, you are going to find suffering beyond belief. And because we all do. Suffering, when they take it all apart, is really awful. If you can do the work now of letting it go and handing it over to this much greater force by not trying to hold on to the energy, but letting go of having the energy and realizing it never goes anywhere. You're the one that goes, it doesn't go. And when you realize you are the energy, then the fear of going doesn't mean anything, or it's much more diminished because you have let yourself go to this vast force that wants to flow through you. You know, it's really, really important. You have gotten it wrong a little bit on that level. There is no me in it. There is no I in it, other than asking for help to let go of the I. That's the teaching. And so if you are holding and holding and holding, you are going to be more and more locked in a sense, by holding energy. Energy is not meant to be held, it's meant to flow. It's meant to flow through you, out to you, to Charlene, to whoever it might want to go to or can go to. That's your job. Holding it is a mind game, and you don't do it. Sorry if I'm contradicting John Mann, but I'm telling you, the practice is a liberation. It's not a development of a person who's going to become special. That special person is going to be knocked out like that. In the universe, nobody's special except we're all special. But we're only special in that we exist at all, and that we are here as a manifestation of the great creator that's trying to figure out, I don't know what it's doing, but it's using us as part of its creation. You know, some of us are really beautiful Van Gogh paintings. Some of us are, scribbles that didn't work. Make yourself beautiful. Get out of the way. You are beautiful. Just stop being beautiful. Just don't start to own you. It'll be a real problem. You don't want that. And Charlene, come to class on time. Sit down when the class starts, not later, because for the 30, 40 years I've known you, lateness has always been part of the equation. I do not understand it. I never have, but I don't think it's appropriate. Just show up, okay? Be ready. Okay, enough. Love you guys. Again, it's getting stronger. The stuff that's coming through is stronger and more directed, but that's what it wants to be. If it ain't speaking to you, there are a lot of other voices out there. If it is speaking to you, it's available. Love you all. See you whenever.